guys, how are you?
Hello.
So to start, I'm instantly going to age myself. I was like 11 when these books started coming out. And so for me, it's like a weird kind of like, oh, that's so cool that there's a Wick Chronicles story, but also like now I'm way too old probably to be invested in this. But for
So,
you, for you guys, do you have that nostalgia thing that was like from when you were growing up that you're like, if they made it now, you're like, well, yeah, but that was mine when I was a kid, and
it's
now these
similar.
other kids are gonna get it.
Yeah, it's similar. I did read the books. I read the first actually no, I'm sorry, I read the first book in elementary school. It was like part of our thing, and then we read Harry Potter and all that jazz. And all that jazz. And then I saw the movie, and the movie came out, and I was obsessed with the movie. It really actually informed a lot of my creative impulses throughout my life, actually. A lot of the imagination and sort of the manipulative nature of like seeing things that aren't really there and sort of being like, oh yeah, I see it, you don't see it. Kind of a pretentious thing to do, but who am I? I'm king. I'm the prince of pretentious, what people have said to me. And anyway, that's great, and I really I feel that way about this project a lot. Like if like I had the Happy Meals toy, I was looking through the little the monocle all the time, and some people I saw Thimbletack or I saw Hobgoblin that wasn't really there, and it's really cool that I get to be a part of that thing now. It's an honor. It's actually kind of surreal.
Yeah. What about you, Olivia? Was there one that you were like, that was my thing?
Yeah. Let me think. Okay, so Spiderwick won, which was cool when I got the email because I was like, oh my God, they're making this into a show. That's so cool. Like my first reaction to seeing the Spiderwick email was like, I'm so excited that they're making Spiderwick into a show, not like, oh my God, I have an audition for Spiderwick. Like that was
Oh,
my first reaction. I remember when I found out that Percy Jackson was becoming a show, and I was so excited because I was a huge Percy Jackson kid. I loved Percy Jackson. And then getting to watch that show was so much fun. What else? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, Spiderwick, Percy Jackson, Harry Potter, that was my vibe when I was growing up. I loved all the kind of mystical genre in a whole. So now getting to be involved in Spiderwick and be a character and be a part of the lore of Spiderwick is such an honor. Like Jack said, it's very, very surreal.
yeah. And I had asked, the other kids earlier about the practical versus CGI, and they told me a lot of it was practical, which instantly was I was like, cool, it's like Jim Henson, which is probably why I
Yeah.
dug this show. But how did that help you guys as actors to know exactly what you were looking at and kind of dive in that way? Because I know, Jack, you have experience with like the CGI kind of storyline, but like, how did that help you guys?
Ooh, good. Well, so I wasn't able to be sorry. I never got to be on set. They just wouldn't have me. They filed a restraining order and a whole mess. But no, I just they didn't need me because I'm a little puppet on there, and then I was doing voice work in the booth. So but nevertheless, the magic was still very real. And I love what you said about the Jim Henson thing because I was thinking about Dark Crystal and um not Fraggle. He didn't do Fraggle Rock, did he? But
Safety. Do not do business with.
or like Neverending Story, Falcor, one of my favorite guys on planet Earth, that Luck Dragon guy. I love him. And yeah, it was just I think that I mean Alyvia could probably speak to this better than I can. The preservation of like the practical effects the creatures were.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
No, the coolest thing for me was getting to work with the practical Molgraph because we had the lovely Keith. I don't remember his last name, but his name was Keith, and he would put on the Molgrath suit, and it was the most insane suit that ever just been able to see in real life. Like it looked like you were looking at CGI because it was just so real. And it was the huge Mulgrath sort of tree suit. And he had these huge boots that made him so, so tall. And I was the size of half of one of his legs. So it definitely made it more real. It made it so much easier in a lot of ways to act with, obviously, when something's really there and your imagination doesn't have to run so wild, you know exactly what it's going to be in the final cut. And definitely scarier. It definitely brings up the energy and brings up the stakes because you know exactly what the stakes are when you get to look at something as terrifying as this in your real life. And we just had the best, designers and makeup artists and special effects people that just really made him come to life. It was terrifying.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for talking with me. I can't wait for people to get to see the show. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you guys.